Welcome, everybody, to the Baseline Facetime podcast. We got a lot in store for this episode, and we're super excited to have you all along for the ride. And here we go.
All right, welcome back to the Baseline Facetime podcast, episode 17 on September 17th, by the way. Manny, you alive over there? What's going on?
I'm cozy, dude. What you doing?
You're cozy?
I'm cozy.
You're looking good?
I'm looking groovy like a drive-in movie.
That's right. So episode 17, man, I don't know about you, but we recorded 6 nights ago, and a lot has happened in the NBA world since we've been on.
Oh, you don't say.
You don't say. And we're just going to jump right in. So the biggest thing, when we last recorded, the Clippers were up 3-1.
Yeah.
Now the Clippers are gone.
I think of that meme a while back where Durant joined Curry and he goes, "I'm gonna teach you how to blow a 3-1 lead. No, I'm gonna teach you how to blow a 3-1 lead." So that's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Denver, I guess.
It's crazy, man. So yeah, Denver's done it twice. We'll get into all that, but I don't know if you caught that game. It was nuts.
I was working, actually.
So games 5 and 6, same story. So the Clippers blew a big leads in games 5 and 6. Game 7 was a little tighter, but the fourth quarter is really where Denver took over. So the Clippers didn't score for the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter in that one. They didn't make a field goal, rather.
Yeah, I bet he's
that was that.
PGs were getting to call himself Playoff Pete because he ain't Playoff Pete.
He's not Playoff Pete. Playoff Pete had 10 in that game.
Really?
In Game 7, he had 10 points on 4 of 16 from the field. Not exactly what you want from a guy who you gave up 5 first-round draft picks for. So he had less field goals made.
Such a terrible front office decision.
He had less field goals made in that game than draft picks traded for than he did in that Game 7. Kawhi, not very sharp either, 14, 6 and 6 on 22 attempts from the floor. Jokic did his thing with a triple-double he had in the third quarter. I mean, they came out and they took out Game 7. They wanted it. Murray dropped another 40-piece, the second youngest to ever do that in a Game 7, I think only behind LeBron.
Really?
In terms of age, yep.
Oh, wow.
So some elite company there. And let me read you these numbers from Jokic before we get into just some more thoughts on the Clippers.
That's what's up.
So Jokic, by far the best player in that series. Games 5, 6, and 7. So Game 5, he had 22, 14, and 5. Game 6, he had 34, 14, and 7. Then Game 7 again, 16 points, 22 boards, and 13 assists in the do-or-die Game 7.
MVP. That's all that needs to be said.
So who would have thought coming into that series, or at least, I mean, everyone respects Jokic, and he's a very good player. He's earning a lot more now, but like,
have you seen that meme of him as a kid, just fat?
Yeah, I know.
That's what I think.
They make fun of him every time. And they're like, this guy beat Kawhi and Paul George and the super team in LA. But like, just coming into that series, you're not guaranteeing that Jokic is going to be the best player on the floor, and he sure was, especially when they needed him the most.
I never thought that the slender man looking guy coming into the playoffs would put up numbers like that, but
yeah,
I mean, I guess he really used that off-season time. I said off-season, Corona time, quarantine time, to really hone on his craft. So maybe he was doing something that we don't know. Maybe Michael Jordan gave him that special sauce with Space Jam, and that's what he did. But, I mean, congrats to him, because that's what an MVP does. Not only did he put up monstrous performance like that numerous times, but, like, you came in clutch time.
Yeah.
You showed up. That's more that can be said than Playoff Pete.
Yep.
Playoff Pete, if you ever watch this, play me one-on-one. You'll win, but I'll always call you Playoff Pete and you don't deserve it.
Pandemic P, Playoff P, whatever you want to call him. So, I mean, Jokic, props to them. Props to Jamal Murray. I mean, he dropped 2 50 bombs against the Jazz in their first series. He dropped a 40-piece in Game 7. I mean, the dude is playing at an elite level right now. And so what's your take on the Clippers? Was it a championship or bust year? Is this okay, they were feeling it out, like this is their first season together? Like, what's your take on the Clippers season?
My take is they should have got anybody but Paul George. Okay. I never liked Paul George. I mean, his stats in 2K are pretty good, but I mean, like, other than 2K, he's always been getting destroyed by LeBron. He ran away to the West to get away from LeBron. Ironically, they ended up in the same city together.
Yeah.
But, like, he's just not the guy that you would want. You would think he would do good as a sidekick. No, he does good as a six-man. Like,
well, I mean, he's a very good regular season player. We've seen that at a very star level. Elite defender.
I don't want a regular season player. I want a playoff player.
I understand. Always at the top of the league in steals every year. And, yeah, I mean, you're right. He just has not got it done in the playoffs. And so you think that...
What do you think's wrong with him?
I don't know. It's something up in his brain, right? Did you see the shot late in the fourth where he shot off the side of the backboard? I'm sure you saw that.
I feel like I have on social media.
The game was getting away from him. He just he's getting so many Instagram
It sounds all mental,
hating.
man. It sounds like he needs to see a sports therapist. Maybe
Something.
Go to a different team. I'll take him on the Lakers to win, but
something.
there's nothing in this cup anymore. I don't even know why I have this.
You know, I mean, you look at what he did in the regular season. I mean, he averaged 22 a game, 6 boards, 4 assists, shot over 41% from 3 in the regular season, and obviously did not transition to playoff time. He had several good games in the playoffs, but again, that game 7 where you're shooting 25% from the field and getting 10 points as Paul George, you can't get away with that, right?
No.
And so, all in all, season, give him a grade.
Give him a grade.
Give the Clippers a grade.
A 60. Oh, the Clippers as a team?
Yeah, a letter grade.
A letter grade. I give him a B plus.
A B plus.
A B
You're
plus.
generous. I would love to have you as my teacher.
Yeah,
Back in the day.
well, it's like the kid that's trying but yet still sucks. So you gotta give him that little extra, because he might be like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd give him. I mean, to not even make it to the conference finals in a year where, I mean, again, even on our last show, we were like, okay, we're coming into the playoffs, and then our last episode, we said, all right, it's going to be an LA battle in the West. They were up 3-1. Everything's looking good.
That is if they show up, and playoff Pete did not show up.
And they didn't show up.
Who's the closest player that you can
I would give them...
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I forgot.
A C- or maybe a D.
Really?
Just for the fact that this was championship or bust season for them. I think. I mean, it's not like they're going to scrap everything. They got another few years with this squad, but it's a disappointment to not even make the conference finals.
I was leaning between B plus or C plus, so I can see where you're putting your answer. But if you had to pick a player previously before Paul George, what is the closest comparison to a PG that we've seen previously?
That's tough. One that I was going to bring up, it's not a previous player. He's playing right now. Kind of similar games. They've been compared for their whole career, and I was going to bring him up. Jimmy Butler.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just a little bit. I mean, just in terms of...
I thought you were going to say Danny Granger.
No. Well, that's a good one, too, I guess. But, I mean, just in terms of, like, they've been compared, similar height, similar weight, similar this, similar, like, scrappy on the defensive end, always at the top of the league in steals or so. And the difference in, I think, them... I mean, Paul George is a better shooter. Paul George
100%.
is, I think, even a better defender right now. The difference is just what Jimmy does, like, mentally. Like, I don't get it. Like,
he's just mentally tough.
By
Paul
every,
George
like, statistical category, every, like, basketball intangible, you would think Paul George is a better player, but I don't know many that would take him above Jimmy right now.
Stats don't show the whole story. I mean,
Yep.
I always say it's 80% mental, and then the rest is 20% physical.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So it makes sense that I can see the comparisons kind of with the defensive end,
Yeah.
but offensive again, that's where they really split off because Jimmy likes to attack the basket. Paul George again, like you said, shoots.
Well, Paul George he's a better athlete than Jimmy, attacking wise.
I would say they're about the same due to his injury with Team USA because he had
Maybe.
to rehab and start over. You know, that takes time to get back.
Yeah.
But honestly, I was leaning towards more of a John Starks. Honestly,
Okay.
when he's hot, but when he's cold, he is cold. You know?
Yeah. So, disappointing end to the season for the Los Angeles Clippers. Speaking of Jimmy Butler, I don't know if you, I mean, obviously you know what happened in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, a thrilling match there between the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat. Went to overtime. Miami won 117-114.
Dude, that game. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I could not believe it. It was back and forth the whole game.
Yeah.
So what did you notice during those games?
Well, just to kind of break down the game first, and then we'll kind of preview what's going on. So, some notables there. Tatum dropped a 30 bomb. Marcus Smart had 26. Kemba had 19. He's been struggling. We talked about him last show.
Yeah.
He's been struggling. He had 19 on 19 shots, just 1 of 9 from 3. Bam Adebayo had the play of the game. He had 18 points, 9 assists, 6 boards. Jimmy with a 20-piece. Goran Dragic went off. He had 29 to lead the way for Miami. And Tyler Hero finished with double figures. And he's tied Dwayne Wade for the longest streak in Miami Heat history for a rookie to have in double figures as a rookie in the playoffs.
Really?
With 10. And so he looks to break that tonight when they square up for Game 2. But yeah, you saw what Jimmy did in that one. Down 2, he hit a 3 with 20 seconds left to give him the lead. It ended up going to overtime. Jimmy gets it again. I don't know if you saw that bucket that he had on Tatum with 12 seconds to give Miami the lead. 12 seconds in overtime and one. Tough conversion at the rim. Just Jimmy doing what Jimmy does, able to put it in. Jimmy G buckets. What's the G stand? The G stands for gets.
Oh, okay,
and then the play of the game, which I know you want to get into. Bam Adebayo. Jimmy gets the switch onto Tatum. He blows by Tatum blows by Jimmy Butler, and then Bam meets him at the rim. One of the greatest blocks I've ever seen.
Better than LeBron James' block against the Warriors?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
No.
Okay.
It was good though. I mean, dude.
That was
insane.
This is my take on it. A phenomenal block, and if I was the Boston Celtics, I would say it was a close game. Don't worry about it. We got next game.
Yeah.
That's the best thing that they could say to themselves, because if they get themselves too much in their head with them being younger, they're gonna choke and be a playoff Pete. So they just gotta stay grounded, listen to their coach. Was it Brad Stevens? And then they'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's pretty evenly matched. They got more talent.
Yep.
They're just not as tough. But I truly believe toughness comes out on top. So I got Miami this game.
Yeah. So Miami and the Celtics are tipping off here in like 40 minutes, 7 o'clock.
Oh, is it really 40 minutes?
On the 17th for Game 2. That should be a good one. But, that play from Bam, and I think an underrated part of that play, obviously he met him at the rim to save the game. Or, potentially just preserve the game for the Miami Heat. But an underrated part of that, so he blocks it, it kind of deflects off the backboard, and guess who gets the ball? Bam Adebayo. Like, he gets the block and he gets the rebound, and then they get fouled, and then they end up going on to win. But that's an underrated part of that. Like, he stayed with the play. He knocked it pretty much to himself.
Toughness.
Maybe intentionally. And you can see right there why Bam Adebayo is second team all defense this year.
I think he should be first.
Yeah.
I think he's a good defensive player.
He's a great defensive player.
And I played with him in 2K.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
Yep. Our high school played against him. He came to my school.
Did he really?
Yeah, destroyed us.
Yeah, I could kind of see that.
It was amazing.
What was the score? Do you remember?
I don't know. It wasn't pretty.
Okay.
But yeah, that gets into our next point. Before we break down like these series and kind of preview, of course, the West and continue to talk about the East, the All NBA teams were announced, and I want to hear your thoughts on that and maybe what you would do differently in those areas. So real quickly, first team, I don't see any surprises myself with Luka, James Harden, LeBron, Giannis, and AD. Second team, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, Kawhi, Siakam, and Jokic. And then third team, leading the way, Ben Simmons, Russell Westbrook, Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum, and Rudy Gobert. How would you change this up? What would you do differently? Would anything be different?
Tatum would go up to second team.
Tatum would be a second team in place of who?
Take CP3 out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would do right there.
Well, CP3's a point guard. They got to have a guard.
Oh, so that's how that works, is they do by position?
Yeah. So
okay, so I'm still getting used to the all team.
Yeah.
Then I guess I would take out Kawhi. Oh, no, it's hard, man. It's such a tough category on who needs to be taken out, Hooters
is.
is a bump.
And this is based on the regular season.
Oh, this is based off the regular season? Okay, because I'm thinking playoffs.
And so kind of got.
You know what? I don't got to complain with it now. Because if we're going by, well, not Kawhi had a better regular season.
My biggest complaint is someone that's not on this list. Someone that got snubbed from any team.
That's where you got if you say Embiid.
Well, no, he didn't play enough games.
Okay.
Bradley Beal. Dude averaged 30. First player in NBA history to not make an All-NBA team while putting up the numbers that he did. An absolute snub.
I don't care for Bradley Beal that much, even though
He
he's a good
averaged
player.
30 plus.
No, I'm not saying I just don't care for him that much. I get what you're saying.
He belongs on one of these teams. Would
Yeah.
you disagree with that?
I mean,
I
you
don't
have
know
to
who
take
he's-
out
I know.
a shooting guard, right?
Well, just a guard. I mean, even I'm willing to say, I guess you could take out Ben Simmons. You know,
Okay.
if you have to. You could take out, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or Russell or Chris Paul. I mean, the dude put up
Take out CP3.
probably. Probably. I mean, he belongs at least on the third team at the very least.
Yeah,
Dude
for
got snubbed.
30. He was averaging 30?
Yes. He averaged 30 and a half a game and 6 assists. And he shot 35% from 3.
And the Wizards were still losing?
Yes. Well, without John Wall and, you know, I mean, that's obviously if they did what they were supposed to, or not if they're supposed to do, but if they did anything remotely close to, you know, making the playoffs, and they actually went to the bubble, but it's like,
Supermax.
you know, dude, averaged 30 plus and didn't make an All-NBA team. That's big.
Well, he's playing in an era where guards are always the most skilled. So, I mean, like, there's a lot more competition there than anything, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, even like we're saying, it's kind of hard to take one of those guys off.
Yeah.
You know, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. I feel for Bradley Beal in that way.
And plus, to be stuck with John Wall, who's not playing and got a Supermax deal, that's terrible, dude.
Yep. So Bradley Beal needs to go somewhere.
Where do you think he would fit in best?
That's tough. I mean,
You guys need perimeter shooting.
yeah. Oh my gosh, we have Bradley Beal, dude. Stop it. I mean, I'd give up.
I like how you said that, like I gave you a compliment. Stop it.
I would give up the 3 other starters in our lineup for Bradley Beal. I would give up Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris.
That'd be funny. You
and Al
get him,
Horford.
you trade for him, injured.
Yeah. No, that would not be funny.
Nah.
But I mean, the fact that we could, yeah, that would be nasty. I mean, he'd fit in anywhere. He's a bucket getter, you know.
yeah, but sometimes with certain type of coaches and environments, you need to blend really well with. You know what I mean? I think that because if you don't blend with the right coach, I mean, Stephon Marbury was.
Well,
a
yeah,
good
it's hard to
example
tell
of that.
until you see him there, though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think, you know, he could help out a lot of teams right now, more so than he's doing in Washington. If Washington
Yeah.
made the playoffs this year, he'd be on one of those All-NBA teams. I guarantee it. But enough with that. Let's just dive into these finals, Eastern Conference and Western Conference. You want to start in the East or start in the West?
Let's go East.
All right, let's go East here. So, like we said, Miami's up 1-0. Game 2 is tonight. Thrilling game. You know, you said, you know, Boston, it's going to be interesting to see how they come out in Game 2 after that kind of heartbreaking loss.
We're gonna know if Tatum's got the dog in him still.
Yeah. So what kind of response will they have? What are some things, you know, to look for? What are some keys to this series? I mean, we can still kind of do a preview of this entire series, you know, since we're only one game in.
Here's what I think. If I'm Boston, gotcha. I think you gotta do whatever you can to cut them off. Even if you're not playing on-ball defense, you gotta play off-ball defense extremely well. Choke up the passing lanes so that Miami just suffocate them. Just give them hard elbows. That's what you gotta do. You gotta play their game. That's what you gotta do. That's simple as that. Offense, that's gonna come naturally to you guys. You know, they got the skills, they got the good trainers, they got the talent, they got that. What do you think?
What?
You asked me what, like,
So
that's
like
the game plan
that's
approach.
today. Or that's
That's the game plan that they
okay,
should
but
have for
so
today.
for the series. Like, what's
Yeah.
something to, you know, like what are you looking for in the series?
I want to see them change their tactics to that. That's what I want to see.
Okay.
But most of all, like, since I don't know what their tactics are, I guess, I want to see Jason Tatum just put up some monster buckets.
He might have to.
Yeah.
He might have
he's
to.
got no choice.
The other thing that I think is absolutely crucial, and it was crucial at the end of their previous series, is Kemba Walker has got to step up.
I keep forgetting he's there.
Kemba Walker is so good at basketball. He is such an offensive weapon.
Didn't he hit it like
force.
a clutch shot for UConn?
Yes,
Yeah.
many clutch shots for UConn. But I mean, he's got to step up. He can't go out here and shoot 1 for 9 from 3 and expect to win. I mean, he's got to take some pressure off of Jason Tatum. He's got to take some pressure off of Jaylen Brown. I mean, Kemba's a guy that literally he can go and get 40 and you're not surprised. He needs to be that guy. I'm not saying he's got to go get 40, but he's got to produce if they're going to win this series and have a chance. That's my like shout out, I think, or what challenge to like a player in this series is Kemba Walker.
Yeah, I could definitely see Kemba stepping up. Maybe that could have been a difference maker since it was such a close game.
Yeah.
Because again, they do have more talent than anything.
Yeah. Well, and look at his counterpart in Goran Dragic, who came out and dropped 29.
Yeah. Well, Goran Dragic wants it, man.
He's good, and you know what I mean. But like Kemba Walker should outplay him in this series, and if he does
stats-wise, Kemba Walker's better. Yeah. So it's very weird to see something thrown out of whack.
If he does not outplay him in the series, the Celtics will lose this series. If Dragic continues to play like he's playing and Kemba continues to play like he's playing, it's over in my head.
Yeah, I agree with that. If Miami does take tonight, then I do think it's going to be really tough for Boston to recover mentally.
Yep.
I agree with you. Kemba Walker does need to step up. Brad Stevenson really needs to be a good leader, especially if they're coming down in the first half. He needs to rally them together because it's very easy to lose your confidence. But on Miami's end, though, they must be happy as hell right now. Yeah. They're like, we got them. We got them. So they pretty much just got to keep doing what they do and keep suffocating them, keep destroying them. They're pretty good. They got a great coach. Eric Spoelstra's been to the promised land with the big three. They got the experience.
Yep. I think, and something we alluded to a little bit earlier is, the impact of Jimmy Butler and how it goes beyond scoring. Like, I think he was like the second or third leading scorer in Game 1, and, he's still that go-to guy in the clutch. He's still that closer for them at the end of the fourth, at the end of OT. Getting buckets when they need it most. And, in the Celtics, obviously Tatum's that guy, that go-to guy. He's not as proven yet, hasn't had as many opportunities yet. But, if you think back to that end of overtime, 12 seconds on the clock play that they had, in overtime, they inbound it to Tatum. He does not get rid of the ball. He's their guy, and he's got to step up into that role, especially
either that or he chooses not to pass it because he learned. He was training with Kobe. A lot of the time, and he really looked up to him. So I mean, it makes sense that he's not really going to shy away from those moments. I'm not surprised by it from him. Yeah, considering that I knew who he's been training under before. Unfortunately, he passed away. But like, Tatum's going to be the franchise star for that organization, no question about it. I think right now Kemba Walker just has the more experience, so it's surprising to see him not step up. But we'll see what Tatum does, because right now it looked like Tatum. The best thing I can compare it to his mentor would be the air balls in Utah with Kobe. Mm-hmm. Bad playoff game, shake it off, get ready for round 2. Yeah, and he's going to show up.
Yep. I mean, he had 30, and it wasn't enough. Clearly, and in light of what Kemba was doing, and guys. I mean, Marcus Smart went off. He's not an offensive. That's not where he hangs his hat. That's not where he hangs his hat. He had 26.
I would hate to play Marcus Smart.
So look for Jaylen Brown to hopefully maybe take a bigger role if the Celtics want to tie it up in Game 2. And, something else I think is interesting and something I noticed in that game was the way that Boston was attacking offensively. They were doing a lot in the pick and roll and trying to attack Bam.
Right.
Did not work. And I don't foresee them trying to continue that. I think they're going to try and, Goran Dragic, I'd much rather attack him than Bam. I don't care if it's 1-5. I'd rather Tatum have a look with him or Kemba have a look with him.
The switch on rotation would work if it's Tatum on Dragic, but if it's like, if they're doing a normal screen and roll when it comes to traditional centers or like a pick and roll, it's not going to work with Bam. Bam's too athletic. I think they were counting on Bam being slower as a traditional center, but that was not the case whatsoever.
Yeah, no, and to me it was very confusing because it's like, he's an elite defender. He can guard, guards. He can guard the, Jaylen Brown. He can guard these forwards that the Celtics have with Brown and Tatum. So it was just a little surprising. I would look for that to change and see if they can, take advantage of some of the other mismatches that they have and avoid Bam at all costs. That's what I'm looking for. Anything else with that series? You want to give a prediction or, some last thoughts?
Tatum's getting 50, but Miami's taking the lead tonight. They're taking the W.
Tatum's going to have 50
Yeah.
in game 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a crazy
If
prediction,
Tatum
right?
drops 50, I'll give you 50.
Really? I'll take it. All right.
So Tatum's going to have 50, but the Heat are going to win.
Yeah.
Okay.
No question
All right.
about it.
And then long-term series-wise, like what are you thinking right now? Miami's up 1-0.
Miami in 6.
Miami in 6.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. I might have to agree. Miami in 6. I could see this series going 7. I'll just say Miami in 7 because you said 6.
Okay.
But all
advocate.
right. Now let's move on to your squad. The Lakers and the Nuggets. We touched on all that the Nuggets have done, being the only team, in like modern NBA history to come back from 2-3-1 deficits in the same playoffs. So now they are 6-0 when facing elimination. Pretty remarkable stuff there. This is a rematch of the 2009 Western Conference Finals.
Yep. I was watching that Western Conference Finals.
Yep. I think the Lakers won in 6, I believe.
I believe so because Melo was there.
Yep, and with Melo there, and so this is their return, for the Nuggets, the first time since 2009, and so Game 1 is tomorrow. So how they got here, it's kind of interesting how both teams managed to find their way here. The Lakers dropped Game 1 of both of their series with Portland and with Houston, and then the Lakers did what LeBron and AD are supposed to do and won the next 4. In both of those series, so
I think they did that strategically. Now
Lakers
that I
have
look back
won in
on
5. You think they lost a game on purpose?
Yeah, because you want to see how a team's going to play you. I think it's like a feeler game.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe. And then the Nuggets down 3-1 again in both series with the Jazz. They had a terrible game 5. I forget which game. But, I mean, the Jazz beat them by like 40. And then they had this response. Must have been game 4. Then they won 5, 6, and 7 to win that series. And then we obviously know what they did with the Clippers. 2 big second-half comebacks in game 5 and 6. And able to seal the deal in game 7. And so obviously 2 dynamic duos. A little different, of course. But 2 dynamic duos that have helped these teams get to where they are with LeBron and AD. And Jokic and Jamal Murray. So what are you looking for in this one?
I think I'm going to be looking up to see how well. I feel like they're going to Jokic and AD are going to go at it a lot, of course. We're going to see who really gets the best of who in the first game, or it could just be a filler game just to see how that team's going to play you. But I think the Nuggets are definitely talented to get past the Clippers.
Yeah,
they're a very
they have to
defensive
be.
team. Michael Porter, I wouldn't worry about Michael Porter Jr. too much.
Okay.
Jamal Murray, I wouldn't. He's a threat. I mean, we don't got that many guards. I mean, you could switch up on him with LeBron.
I think the
and stuff
one
like that.
benefit of who the Lakers have played with these 2 dynamic backcourts, they've played 4 elite guards, and now they got to face Murray, and so it's like they've at least recently defended
pretty
elite
well
guards. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So hopefully it'll be the same outcome. Me personally, I think it's Lakers in 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then so just some more thoughts on that. I think you have to say that AD has the potential to give Jokic more trouble
Oh,
than
100%.
he's had in the previous couple series. He's kind of just had his own way. He's been, that guy on the court who's doing whatever he wants. AD can force him into a little more trouble, so look for that. And where will the Nuggets turn if Jokic is not able to do what he's been able to do in the past?
I think they're going to look towards the role players, but I think it's going to be too late for the role players to start getting hot and start getting cooking because they rely too much on those 2 players to do most of their offensive scoring. Only recently have they switched up and incorporated Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah. Yep. And then, the other thing is, can the Nuggets do it again where they get behind? Like, I don't think, of course, no one thought they could afford to get down 3-1 to the Clippers. We both sat here behind these mics and said that.
Yeah.
And they did. So it's like, can the Nuggets really do it again? Do they need to get out to a fast start? Do they need to do what the Rockets and Portland and the Trailblazers were able to do and jump out and steal game 1. I think that would help them. I just,
In all honesty, I don't think stealing game 1 is the way to do it within the bubble. I think if there were the arenas,
I think it's a bad way to win game 1. I think I think they should desire to win game 1.
No, well, if they were in the enemy's arena, if you were in the Lions, then I think it's more important. But since
it's not as big of a deal.
It's not as big of a deal in the sense of I would rather see how the other team's going to play you, so that way you know what plays they're going to run, and then that way you can come out locked and loaded for game 2 and then continue with that confidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather win game 1 than lose game 1.
Either way, you're gonna like.
Not either way.
The mentality is I'm trying to send you home by game 5. I didn't, it's like what Michael Jordan said. I didn't pack for game 7 against the Suns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know how they're gonna play me now.
Yeah. Here's a quote from James Edward III that I'll read. Just some reporter, I think.
Okay, I was gonna ask who that is.
He said, "I don't have a prediction yet, but LA has the top 2 players, and Denver might have 3 through 10."
He's not wrong. I don't disagree with him.
He's saying, hey, I'm not giving my prediction yet, but LA has the best 2. But all the, from there on out, man.
What do you think about what he said?
I think I agree with it. I mean, I don't know who else you would place, in between 3 and 10 for the Lakers. It's hard. I mean, the Nuggets have shown that, I mean, obviously it's those main 2 guys, but the supporting cast that they have has been playing well enough for them to advance. I think some of those like 3rd and 4th options on these teams, again, you touched on Michael Porter Jr. and then, like a Kyle Kuzma, something that I think in order for the Nuggets to have any shot in this series, like Michael Porter Jr. Needs to ball and he needs to outplay Kyle Kuzma in a big way. I think they can't be split in points. I think he's got to outplay him. Michael Porter
We're going to see who wants some more out of the 2 of them.
Come and average 20 and, Kuzma average like 10, like something like that. Needs to happen for the Nuggets to have a chance in this one. That's my opinion.
Kuzma's very fruity to me. Michael Porter Jr. is too cocky, so I don't know which one I really want to show up and ball. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out of role players?
Yeah.
There's nothing in this cup, dude.
I don't know what you're doing. So the Nuggets, another thing with them, we know how good Jokic is. Not by any stretch of the imagination is he a great defender. So the Nuggets, therefore, this year have given up a lot of points in the paint. And the Lakers are a pretty big team.
Yeah, they're
and they
super
like
big.
to score in the paint, so that is something to look out for. The Nuggets, I think, came in 14th out of 16 teams that made the playoffs this year in terms of allowing points in the paint. So look for that to be something that the Lakers try.
2s are greater than 3s if the other team is missing their 3s.
Yeah. And it's going to be a different approach for this one. I know Frank Vogel, without getting too much into it and how they plan to defend Jokic, he kind of just admitted, like, this is a different series than the one we just played in with the Rockets. But the Rockets went small ball, so the Lakers had to adjust to that, in games 2 to 5 especially. And now it's Jokic. They got to play their bigs. So those bigs of the Lakers that they have, with AD and McGee and those other guys, I mean, they got to play, and they got to play well. Right, so ultimately, you think LeBron and AD are too much?
Oh, I think they're going to overwhelm them completely.
So those 2 specifically, like, that's it. It's just.
I think. Well, of course, you're going to get some backcourts, some role players scoring in there, of course. But I mean, like, when those guys are younger, and when you see your idol across from you and you're playing him, you're going to be hypnotized a little bit. I mean, the only other person I could think of who wasn't like that was Kobe, and he was like, nah, I want to know what makes Michael special. But with LeBron, you're kind of, those kids, like, they grew up watching LeBron, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So they're kind of more like, whoa, you know what I mean? And I think that's going to get ahead of them. And I think they're going to, when they step it on the floor and LeBron does a monster jam of a dunk, they're going to be like, I don't know if I got what it takes, because he's like Superman, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's, again, we don't know what their approach is, and we don't know what their mindset is as individuals.
And there could be a little bit of that, of course. But I think when they get into the flow of the game and, they get more comfortable, I think, too, in every game, the longer the Nuggets can hang around in this series, the more confidence they're going to have. And they're obviously riding some confidence now. The other thing to, could be a factor in this is fatigue. I mean, the Nuggets are coming off 2 7-game series in which they had to win the last 3 games.
True.
The Lakers have won, 8 out of their 10 playoff games. winning each series in 5. And so, I ultimately think LeBron and AD will be too much, but we probably said the same thing about Kawhi and Paul George. But I think there's quite a difference between these two teams in terms of their star players.
Oh, 100%.
Game 7, LeBron's not coming out and dropping 10 on 4 of 16 shooting. AD, I don't think is going to do that either. Yes, Paul George and Kawhi are superstars, but these two might just be a little different.
They're younger to start with. But
who's younger?
Jokic and Jamal
No,
Murray.
I'm talking about the difference between Kawhi and Paul George, who the Nuggets just beat, and LeBron and AD.
You're talking about the difference between them.
They're facing different animals, yeah.
Gotcha.
Right? I'm saying LeBron's not going to come out and drop a Paul George 10 points in Game 7 in the series.
No, LeBron's going to give you 30 straight
what I mean?
and 10 assists.
So, I think that's another reason why the Nuggets, need to come out and they can't get behind in this series like they have the previous 2. They just can't. They can't afford to. I think LeBron and AD are more willing and ready and able to close it out than the Clippers
They're
were
more
able to do.
championship ready than they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Of course. I agree with you. To try to give, I guess, to play devil's advocate for Denver's side, I guess I would say is you can kind of compare I think it was the 1996 playoffs with the Magic and I think it was the Chicago Bulls. Jordan's first year back, he's wearing 45, right? The Magic were, I think they were the better regular season team. They were favored, but I think somebody steals the ball, right, in that series. I think it was Nick Anderson. No, Nick Anderson swipes it loose, then chucks it to Penny, then they lay up and they're up in that series. And that one thing changed that series, and then they eventually beat the Bulls, and they did it. But though it was a young starter team that had a lot of confidence. When you're a young starter team, you got King Kong banging on your chest. You feel like you're at the top of the mountain. So hopefully they can continue to have that confidence, because that's what I guess they would be leaning towards to get that W over the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
So they're 2 apex predators out in the jungle in the league. They're not nobodies. They're good. Like that reporter said, was it 8 and 10? Best player in the league on that team versus number 1 and number 2?
No, he was saying, so of the top 10 players in this series between the Nuggets and the Lakers have the top 2, and the Nuggets might have the 3rd best player through the 10th best player.
Out of the
of those 8, yeah.
Yeah, so they're killers. We'll just hope that they can keep being killers.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. You said Lakers in 5?
Yeah.
So I was leaning. I'll say 6, though. Again,
Okay.
kind of just to be different.
Gotcha.
I think that the difference maker is what team has LeBron James, what team has Anthony Davis. All right. And again, many people said that about the previous series, but these two, in my opinion, and in most opinions,
they've proven people wrong.
Are different. These two, LeBron is, the Lakers are heavy favorites of the 4 teams remaining to win it all. With no Giannis, without the Raptors, heavy favorites. They have the top 2 players remaining in the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
In LeBron and AD. It's not even close. There's no debate. And so, I'm going to side with them.
You're going to take Denver?
No, I'm going to side with the Lakers. With them,
Okay.
I said, yeah.
Cool.
So, anything else you got? Anything else to look out for in these series before we make it a buffalo wrap, chicken wrap?
No.
No.
I think we pretty much said everything that needs to be said about each individual game going forward, and pretty much what it's looking like, and our predictions pretty much for each series. But our predictions for the finals, what do you think that's going to look like? Or do you want to save that for when we know?
We could save that, but obviously we both have Lakers Heat.
Yeah.
Right now, off the top of my head, if I were to say it, I would say Lakers in either 5 or 6 still. I think everyone's going to say that.
With the Heat?
Yeah.
I think 7.
Lakers in 7.
Yeah, I truly believe that.
Okay.
All
So
right.
see. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, obviously. But, yeah, cool show. We'll see what happens. Eastern Conference preview, Western Conference preview. We'll be back with another episode to break down all that's happened.
Yeah.
Over these next few games.
Leave a like, comment, and subscribe.
Peace. That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Baseline FaceTime podcast. We'll see you next time.